anxious to step through the gate again, Major?
Yes, I am.
We all are.
Would you like us to bring back anything special?
No thanks.
Groceries, new outfit, flatware?
No, just yourselves in one piece, please. Dial it up. You safe.
Welcome to the Jumping Puddles podcast. Be sure to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and or YouTube. And follow us at Jumping Puddles Podcast on Tumblr, Instagram, and the Jumping Pud Pod on Twitter. I'm American Sam, and with me are my fellow co-hosts, Tor, Ash, and Australian Sam.
Hey!
Hi!
Hello.
Major John Shepard's team are under attack from Wraith darts, and then see them wiped out through a mysterious energy beam. They search the planet below, Proculus, who do not have advanced technologies, but Dr. Rodney McKay suspects they are hiding something else, especially after the priestess, Chaya, comes to Atlantis and has her eyes on Shepard.
Ooh!
Dun dun dun!
Oh, dun dun dun!
None of us did it.
Shit.
Okay,
Oops.
can I just say, just to start it off, Lord Almighty, how gay is that synopsis? Jesus. That is the most gay synopsis I've ever heard in my life. Also, for the record, we are recording this during Pride Month, so happy Pride Month! We're recording Sanctuary.
Yes!
One of the gayest episodes of Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah!
Wait, tell me more. I have this be the gayest episode. I'm curious.
Well, okay, one, I say top 5. Top 5 for sure. Right? Because, like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's no heterosexual explanation for Rodney. This entire episode. Fucking hating Chaya. This bitch, he fucking hates Chaya. Like, I would pay actual money to see them get put in a room and then just start fighting. Like, Rodney would pull on her pigtails. She would put up her hair in pigtails, and then Rodney would yank him down. Chaya would just kick the shit out of him. Like, they're the definition of, like, MLM and WLW, like, hostility. Like, they fucking hate each other. Yeah, Chaya's actually lesbian, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just, like, she's just confused.
Before,
Yeah, she's just confused. Like, she, like, sees John and she's like, oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen another person around here. 'Cause she lives, like, so far away from her little village. And she was like, take me away. And then they kissed and she was like, actually, I like being an energy beam. So.
So I take it I wasn't the only person picked up like a vibe between Chaya and Elizabeth.
Oh no, you weren't the only one. That was some I was humming during that scene, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's this one scene where Elizabeth tries to offer Chaya something that her and her people would need. And Chaya is always like, no, I don't need it. No, we're good. No, we're fine. And Elizabeth is trying and trying and trying. And you can see, like, first of all, she's completely in her element. This is what she does. She likes, I think she likes the challenge. And I think she's enjoying this. And also she looked so hot. Just like trying to figure out the right thing and trying new ways. Chaya's like, no. And yeah, that scene I was like, Elizabeth, girl, yeah.
Yeah, I see you. For sure. And, like, her going on about the religion, like, oh, like, she likes faith, and let's talk about, like, earth religion with her. She's like, yeah, we can show you our database with all these religions, and, like, we have Hinduism and Catholicism and Islam, and then John is, like, seeing that it's working, so he's trying to, like, steal her thunder by being like, yeah, Yeah, religion, and it just does not work. Clearly, Elizabeth has the upper hand in this flirtation scenario.
John's like, yes, I am spirituality, and here's why. He just goes on a list. He's like, there's Buddhism, there's Islam, there's Christianity, there's this and there's that. I know all of them. Yeah, so if you ever want to know.
No, I mean, literally in that scene, like, Elizabeth is naming all of them, and fucking John goes, and Kwanzaa. And Elizabeth just, and they just share a look, and it's just like, this dumbass bitch is trying so hard, and Elizabeth is just, like, cracking up, because she's like, oh, babe. She's like, oh, honey. Also, speaking of, like, the whole, like, Elizabeth and Chaya supremacy, I think it's so funny that, like, Rodney, the entire episode, this is such a good Rodney and Elizabeth episode, first of all, because they're just besties, right? And it's so funny, because Rodney's trying to convince Elizabeth the whole time, like, Chaya's evil, gotta get away, like, get her away from Shepard. And, like, it would have been so funny if she was like, okay, yeah, like, you're right, like, I believe you. And then in the end, like, she's the one that, like, fucks Chaya. You're right, like, she needed to go away from her, you're so right. And Rodney's like, what the, this was what I meant when I said get Shepard away from her. And she's like, well, I did it for you.
It was a noble sacrifice.
Yeah. She was like, don't worry, she's like, I'll get you your boyfriend. But let me get something in return.
Oh, can you imagine Elizabeth with an ancient? Like, she still adores the ancients, right? So it was like, for her personally, it would be like,
ooh,
huge.
It's like, you know that
like,
Nine Inch Nails
get
song?
It, girl, please. She deserves it. She deserves this, but, like, yeah. Sorry, what were you saying, Tor?
Yeah, it's like, you know the 9 Inch Nails song, Closer? Like, it's like that. You just... 100%. Get it, girl.
Ash was gonna say something like, oh, like, this is a big deal for her. Like, it's on her fucking bucket list.
She's just taking them off.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, yeah, I'm surprised she didn't have it on her list. I'm sure she did.
She did. That's canon now. Oh.
Speaking of which, I feel like you just said, there was a better episode hiding in this episode, particularly surrounding John and his connection to the ancients. Because we're always talking about, like, well, the show is always talking about how, you know, John has the most gene, and he's, like, he's the best at using the jumpers, and he's the best at using the chair, and, like, his connection with his ancient heritage could have been so much more explored through Chaya, I feel like. And it was such a missed opportunity to just be, like, brush off. Like, I feel like she didn't even acknowledge his ancientiness. Like, it was more why she was like, oh, you're special, and not like, no, you are like me. You are like the ancients, and that's why I think you're special, which is just a waste. A complete waste. I hate it.
I also wanted to say, speaking of his heritage and stuff, that's so true, because it would have been, we never find out anything about, like, his line that he came from, but, like, bitch, he's basically, like, royalty, right? Because, like, girl, he's got, like, the most, like, ancient genes in his body. Like, he's got some damn, like, midichlorians over here, like Anakin. He's got, like, 20,000. Like, he just has a huge amount, and so it would have been cool for them to be like, oh, hey, yeah, your great-great-great-great-granddaddy times, like, 10,000 greats was, like, the ruler of Atlantis or something. Or something like that. And so I'm going to reference this fic again. I referenced it, like, 2 weeks in a row because I'm still reading it. But that one fic, it's a whole series about John is actually an ancient, and he wakes up when the expedition gets to Atlantis, and so he's been in, like, sleep for 10,000 years, right? Okay. But they mentioned that part of the reason why, like, John can, like, control all this stuff and, like, he can hear Atlantis talk is because he has, like, some special version of the ancient gene that's, like, long since died out. So that'd be something really cool to, like, also just kind of, like, explain why he has it, because it's so weird how he just has like this crazy amount of gene power that no one else has.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just feel like a story about otherness in terms of John Shepard would have been interesting to explore because of his personality and how like repressed he is. It would have been great to just been like, ooh, oh, just dig into some meaty stuff. Yeah. Sad. But thankfully we have fic. Yay!
Yay!
Yep.
It's so interesting to me because we keep like bringing up like, oh, you know, like we love John and all this stuff because we like have seen the entire show, you know, like we've seen season 3, season 4, season is depressive, season 5. Like we've seen all of the versions of him and we like know his backstory. But I was looking up behind the scenes and I found this review of someone who was like watching the show as it aired and they were talking about Sanctuary. And they were talking about how like they were like, damn, like this is like the first like John episode that like we've actually seen him show something besides like a military guy. Like that is so interesting. Like for a lot of people, this was the episode where they got to, not to reference Rodney, where they got to like peek behind the man behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's a lot more like dorky in this episode. Like you see him just like, I don't want to say smitten. I don't want to say that, but like he's like giggly, like he's like super into it. He's like, oh my god, an alien
He's
woman! Like
so
I'm gonna
smiley.
piss up. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
oh my, I have never seen that man smile up so much in my life. And then he's like, he's being like such a good negotiator, like which we'll come back to that. I think Taylor should have gotten that, but whatever. But he was a good negotiator this episode, so interesting to see that like back in the day, people this was probably like such a big episode to develop John because we were like, oh yeah, like this is such like a like girl. There's so many other better John episodes, but I mean, who knows? This is a big one back in the day, I guess.
Totally, and also what you said about Taylor, like you mentioned Taylor right now, and she has such a good line in this episode. Like she's basically us. When we if we would talk to John, she's like, yeah, you are allowed to have feelings without having to justify yourself. She says that into his face, and we're like, yes, Queen, tell him, you tell him. And he immediately tries to justify himself, and she's like, yeah, I wasn't finished. Like, just calm down, boy. And I thought, yeah, I think that fits into this. Like, we get to see a bit more of John in this episode, and I think the team maybe notices it as well. Like, there's something going on. And
Yeah, we need to write that on a tortilla wrap and just slap it across his face until it actually sits in. He just doesn't get it otherwise.
No, and I can't believe we have Taylor from season 1 being his like his quote unquote therapist and having to tell him like, you know, it's okay to feel things. What you're feeling is normal. You know? It's just hilarious. Like, from day 1, this poor girl has to coach this man how to live.
And it's funny, too, because this is supposed to be, like, this is still when the writers were like, oh, yeah, they're romantic.
yeah,
That entire scene of Taylor coaching John and being like, no, it's okay, you can have feelings, or, like, you don't have to, like, that's supposed to be romantic? Girl, she's his therapist. Like, she's his mother.
yeah.
Like, I don't, where's the chemistry, no offense, the romantic chemistry? It just was not there. Like, she did not care he was going on a picnic. She was like, you go have fun. There was no jealousy. Like, that was nothing.
You fucking see it from Rodney, but you didn't see any of that shit from Taylor. She couldn't care less. She couldn't care less.
It's like,
Rodney...
please express your feelings. Please, go and have fun.
Go for it. And Rodney's like, we need to get rid of this bitch.
This is Rodney at his meanest. His Mean Girl era.
It peaks this episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Like, from the jump, like, with him and Chaya, it was on sight. Like, it was on sight. Didn't hesitate. there's a line when they're on the planet where John is like, be on your best behavior to Rodney, because he knows Rodney has, you know, his mean girlness. And Rodney's like, I'm always on my best behavior. And then when he meets Chaya, it's like on site and he's back to his catty ways. And then John is like, hello, what did I say about behavior? And then Rodney's like, this is as good as it gets. Like, I'm not going to be any less catty or bitchy. Go off, Rodney. Go off.
That was amazing. I think he was pissed even before they met Chaya, because like he had to sit on the floor with that priest and he had to like walk for probably like 1 kilometer or something. And and then on top of all of that.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see his like disdain for religion in general, particularly when it's hypocritical. There was like a really good line where he said when they refused to help the refugees or help Atlantis protect people against the Wraith, and then because Athar, quote unquote, said no. And Rodney's like, you're just using this to justify your own selfishness. And like, if Athar really existed, she would be ashamed of herself. And by extension, the rest of the planet. And I just thought that was such a great commentary on like modern religion and how, you know, certain religion institutions, I shouldn't say like religion in general, use their religion or abuse faith in selfish ways. So yeah, that's some interesting stuff.
100%. And it just felt so hypocritical for Chaya as well. Because, I mean, obviously because we've seen this episode, we would, like, know the twist. But I'm like, this bitch would not stop fucking talking about Athar. Okay, and I was like, girl, you are Athar. Like, stop. Like, I was so annoyed. Like, because, okay, like, the first, like, you know, like, 6-7 times, sure. By the time we hit, like, 15, I was like, you are obsessed with yourself. But yeah, no, I really love how Rodney was so, and rightfully so, drag her, bitch. Drag her. She's being a fucking rat.
And he knows it. I feel like when Rodney's like really aware that someone else is like overstepping, like even like he knows he gets out of line sometimes, like he gets it, but it's a lot out of passion and shit like that. But like when he can see it from someone else and he can see it, he knows it's genuine. He's like, oh nah, fuck that. Like, this is my territory, bitch. Like, I'm gonna show you this isn't how we go. Like, even though, you know, he can be a bit of an ass, you know, I feel like he's aware of that to a certain extent. It's like when he sees it in someone else genuinely, he's like, nah, fuck that.
Exactly. So like he can smell the bullshit, but it's also just really sweet too, because like it's not like he's coming from like some horrible place. Like, God, this person's a bitch. Like, no, he's like literally like, you're refusing to take in refugees like of this galaxy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you're being so hypocritical right now. And so again, it just kind of shows like, yeah, he's being like, again, a bitch. He's being a mean girl. But like he's coming from a good place and he's angry as anyone should be. I don't know why, like, I mean, we know Ford doesn't have any thoughts of his own, but like Taylor, girl, like, I'm surprised Taylor wasn't like, y'all, something's fishy here. Like, this lady sucks. Like, we need to leave. Like, yeah, I mean, good for Rodney, honestly, that he was the one who was standing up for the Pegasus natives.
I think it wasn't even just that, but just I think he was also annoyed by the fact that John and to some extent Elizabeth were just giving away freely everything on Atlantis. Like, John was inviting her to Atlantis without checking in with Elizabeth or without questioning it. He was just like, hey, come see our home. Come check out all these databases. Like, yeah, okay, they did a medical check on her, but other than that, they did nothing. And I think that's just generally weird when they do that, because they should do like, probably they can't do it, but they should have like just background check or just give it some time to get to know her and not immediately invite her. And I felt like that's something that annoyed Rodney as well, on top of the jealousy and the hypocritical stuff.
No, you're so right. Because there's actually one scene right before the picnic, I think, where John and Chaya are talking, and he tells her all about Earth. And I'm like, is that safe? We don't know this girl from Adam, and you're telling her all about Earth and like how you got to here from Earth and that you're not really supposed to be in Atlantis. Like, this information is sort of dangerous to be giving to the enemy. Like, what if this was like Kolya or like some other alien race with nefarious plans?
Fucking Wraith worshipper.
Exactly.
They mention the Janai, or they kind of like allude, like, oh yeah, like the Janai, haha. And I'm like, yeah, the Janai, y'all don't remember? First of all, they lied to y'all asses about being technologically advanced, and then they stormed your base. King's like, they, like, just because Chaya's like pretty, John lost all sense of thought. And like Sam, so relatable icon. but like also, I'm gonna need him, or I'm gonna need someone. Thankfully, Rodney was the only one not whipped. Rodney was the only one. Rodney was like, I'm going insane. She's different. And Elizabeth and John are like, what? She's so cute. And Rodney's like, no. Like, I don't know. It's just funny.
Rodney's too gay to deal with her shit.
Like, even when they, like, John and Rodney got into it in the hallway, I was still on Rodney's side. Maybe he could have approached it in a better way. I don't know, but I was like, nah, you right, go on, King. Like, yeah, you tell him. I mean, it sounded a little
Captain Kirk routine.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded a little bit like a jilted lover, which, okay, I'll give him that, but it's fine. He was right.
100%.
Can we talk about how uncomfortable John got the moment Chaya mentioned a tiny bit of feelings on their date? Like, they were having a picnic and there was like this beautiful view, and she was like, yeah, actually, I don't remember exactly what she said, but something like, yeah, I don't know if it was this moment where she said, yeah, it was you, or I came here because of you, or anything like that. And he just gets up and he's like, what's going on here? This is weird. I'm flirting with this woman from another planet. I just thought it was so funny because he was so smooth all the way up until, yeah, oh no, there are actually feelings involved.
He's fucking terrible at that.
Mm-hmm.
Flat out.
Yes.
Not good.
It's the worst.
He needs to take classes.
Yeah.
Weekly classes. How to...
With Taylor.
Yeah.
How to repress...
Taylor will teach him how to pick up women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is a
Expert
great...
in that
Someone...
field.
Wait, hold on. New fic idea. Taylor holds a how to pick up women class, and it's just like everyone joining. Like Ronan, Rodney, the entire science department's there. They take a field trip. They take the day off.
Yep.
So they can make this.
Zelenka.
And Elizabeth comes in as a special guest lecturer.
Woo! Yep.
Yes. And John's like, I don't need this, and they're like, no,
Yes,
babes.
Yeah.
Funny.
Front row seat.
we put this class on for everyone just so you wouldn't get embarrassed. This is really for you.
Yes.
Actually, since we're on the topic, well, we're not on this topic. I lied. This is not a smooth transition. But can we just talk about how much the ancients suck?
Yeah.
Yes. What is their
ancient slander in here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick of them pretending to be like a, I don't know, low-level existing being, and they do that constantly. And I think the episode I'm thinking of is going to be in the future, or it's in SG. I don't know. What's the episode with this hologram, and they're asking questions? I think it's Pegasus Project, maybe?
Yes, the Pegasus Project, yeah.
And at some point, I think Daniel and Vala are in the room with hologram, and in the end it turns out she's not a hologram, she's actually the ancient who's posing as a hologram. And I think that's later or at the same time. I don't know. Timelines, whatever. And it's so annoying. It's so fucking annoying. Why do they do that?
Yeah. And just again, like their whole big rule of like, we don't interfere when we're ascended. Y'all interfered in everyone's goddamn business when you were mortals. What like culture, what society did you not put your little paws on? Like they literally sent ships, like seeding ships, like Destiny in universe, out to go make new, like find new galaxies to like brainwash. Like, what do you mean y'all don't interfere in human relations when you're like in space, like as an energy beam? When did this rule who made this rule? Because you guys were the ones who colonized everyone. You guys were the original colonizers. Like,
yeah.
So true. And like you have all this power to right your wrongs, and there are many wrongs that you did. And you don't use it. Like, why?
it literally didn't they like, well, okay, we're getting ahead of I'm getting ahead of myself, but like didn't they like help with like creating the race or blah 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 blah, right?
Yep.
Okay, so they made their worst enemy. And then they were like, new galaxy alert, and they like packed up their bags and left all those people to die that had praised them as gods too. I mean, think about it. Like the Athosians were like, oh my god, like ancients, like literally they like prayed to them, kind of, right? Or they were just like seen as like these holy figures. And they just dipped to another galaxy, and then they like died in that one. I forget the timeline. They got the plague over there. I don't know what they did. But then like then they got the evil aura. Then they got the evil ancients, the aura. And it's just like, you guys are the problem.
Yep.
Did they do anything good? Like initially good?
Like the gates.
Mean,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
And they help
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
That's their one achievement.
In that one episode, but then that one guy helped against all the other ancient people's wishes, so technically it wasn't even a good thing that they did collectively. So, no, they're trash. Ancients, clean up your mess challenge.
Yay!
Oh, because, I mean, I'm sure if, like, Universe had gone on for longer, rip, they probably would have, like, eliminated... They probably would have, like, done something where, like, they had, like, more ancient, like, powerful beings, because there is an episode where they kind of, like, allude to the fact that, like, there's some, like, super freaking powerful people out there, and so it hurts me deep inside that we didn't at least get to see them, or at least get to know a little more about them, because I'm sure... all we have to do is, like, tell on, like, we'll run to them and be like, hey, Dad, like, these bitches over there are hurting me. And, like, Dad will come up and, like, just bang the ancients out of existence or something. Because someone bigger than them needs to hold them accountable. Because they can't just keep running around as energy beams. They're still ruining our lives down here.
I was thinking, is Chaya a little bit like Oma? Is that her name? Oma de Sala? Like in SG-1? Because she's also someone who, like, she doesn't help people ascend, but she's also someone who defied the rules and was punished for that. And so there are already two ancients we know of that are not okay with not interfering. So there's gotta be more of them. So this whole society is just, I think it's pretty fucked up.
I feel like these good ancients have to, like, band together and make their own group and fix all the bad shit that the other ancients did.
Yeah. Like the really good ancients, not like those ancients who think they are the good ancients in contrast to the Aura Ages. The really good, like those who see the mess that they made or that's happening. Yeah.
100%. And that would have been so cool to see, like, I don't know, start an ancient revolution of all the good ones. And then, like, I don't know, them fighting back, trying to overthrow the evil ones, trying to, like, break that rule, because I just think it's so annoying that for so long they've had this rule for, like, what, like 10,000 years? Or I don't know, whenever they ascended. And there are constantly rule breakers, and yet their asses are always, like, thrown in ancient jail or whatever. they just get disappeared out of existence. So it'd been really cool, again, to see like the ancients, I don't know, become actual good guys, like we were told they were back in like season 2 of SG1.
Yeah.
I think
Full disclosure.
they're good. Like in the beginning, with the whole thing with Apophis and Amunet's child, like they help there. Yeah.
Once,
yeah.
not to blame Daniel, but not once Daniel ascends, they created the whole storyline where like he couldn't interfere,
Yeah.
and so and then when he comes back, he's like, yeah, I couldn't interfere. Like they kicked me out because I was hanging out with you guys. So I think that's where they kind of start their downfall.
Yeah. There's one more. There's Orlin or something like that. The ancient that falls in love with Sam. He's also interfering, right? So there are constantly these interfering ancients, and they're still trying to hold up. Like, no, here nobody interferes, and fuck you.
Part of me wishes that
Yes.
Daniel stayed an ancient and was like, fuck these rules. Let's do some shit, guys. And just like banded together with all the cool ancients and was like, yeah, we're gonna save the planet and shit, the galaxies, all of them. Yeah. Yeah. Cause he's such a rule breaker,
God.
right? So I just feel like he would, for the good of people. So why not?
100%. I need the fic right now. I need the 200k slow burn rewrite right now.
Oh yeah.
The idea of John ascending is something that is so interesting, but I guess we won't touch it until we get to Epiphany, which is more about that. But just some food for thought.
What season is Epiphany?
2, I think.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we'll be getting there soon. Soonish.
Soonish, yeah.
Ish.
I did want to bring up the ending though really quick, because the whole there's 2 things. Okay, so one, the whole like suddenly they bang
Oh.
or whatever the hell they do at the end of the episode.
They shared.
They
Friends
share each
share.
other.
I don't share like that with my friends, but go off, I guess.
You know, because literally she's like, we're gonna be closer, or like we're gonna know everything about each other. And I was like, and John's like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh god, he's an idiot. I was like, John, I'd be sprinting, okay? Like, wake up. He's whipped. But it's funny though, because I feel like, of course, it's supposed to be like, ooh, he got with the girl at the end, ooh, but then he ditched her, ooh. But I feel like it also just kind of adds like fire to the flame to the whole asexual John agenda that I don't know if people know about, but I know for a long time a lot of people really championed that John was a pretty clear asexual icon. And so I think it just adds proof.
Totally. I think there's an episode in later seasons where he's like, I never see this stuff coming. So I feel there's totally evidence of that in the show.
I think it's so dumb that we never see Chaya again. I
Agree.
think that's kind of like, you know, I know a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people really like this episode. Because it is kind of hard to watch when you think about it, because you already know the plot twist is that Chaya is an ancient. So when you're watching it, you're just like, all right, guys, pick it up. Like besides like the Rodney being jealous aspect, like I feel like I personally wouldn't rewatch this episode as much as I do unless, you know. But I think it would have added something if she had come back in season 4, season 5 or something and had fucking pulled her head out of her ass and decided to help finally, you know, or like maybe she finally opens up the planet for refuge or something. And again, kind of going along with the whole like, well, maybe the ancients start rebelling, you know. And I think it would have been really cool to see her again. And also, I think it would have made Rodney very upset. And it would have been made me very happy, because I think he would have flipped his shit. John's like, I know who we have to contact. And Rodney's like, oh, please no.
That would have been so fun. I love it.
It would also be funny if she was like, after when she comes back, she realized that she didn't have a crush on John. She was just like confused, and she was like, "Oh my God, there's a human, and he's probably good looking, so I must like him, right?" But now she's like, she's come around, and yeah. So that would be interesting, because for me, I thought I had more issues with this episode before I watched it, and then I rewatched it, and it was actually quite interesting for me, because there was like 2 lines that really, really bugged me, and like that was every time when Chaya mentioned, "Yeah, I came for you, John." Every time she brought that up, it was like, no, if you left that out, this episode would have been so much better, because it took so much away from her character and from her whole reasoning and everything. And that happened, I think, twice. And I was like, oh wow, I'm coming around to like her. And then she's like, I came for you, John. I was like, okay, nope, bye. But other than that, this episode is actually quite good, I think.
Why do they always have to do that though? They throw this like ridiculously good-looking woman on a show, and they're just like, you know, she's not here to be her own independent character. She's here to be the love interest for the main male character, and it's so fucking annoying and old. It's like, just cut it out. It's not even interesting anymore. Everyone knows it's coming. Just fucking stop.
2000s.
Oh man, I was just emotional hearing you talk about that. Oh, it could have been such a more impactful. Make us care about like the one-off characters more, you know? Like really suck us into the story. That would have been really interesting.
Especially because for like the first season, I mean, I feel like this is an issue maybe you can bring up for the entire show, but especially in the first season, like besides a few of the episodes, they really haven't like, there's still so many mysteries they have just yet to kind of like acknowledge and touch on, you know? Like we're in a new galaxy on the city of the ancients, and it still feels like this just degular, like off the little bay of San Francisco. Like it sometimes doesn't feel like we're in a new galaxy. And so it would have been really cool to see that kind of like more, you know, alien, and someone who's actually attached to the base have these like feelings of like loss and reminisce, and just remember that like, oh yeah, there was a siege that lasted for I don't know how many years, then like all the ancients like died and left. Like, you know, just bring attention to the whole catalyst of the show basically is that there was a war there.
Yeah, and bring attention to Atlantis as its own character. Because it's such a symbol, right? For the whole show. And then to bring in someone from the outside who has this other attachment, like it's also a home for the team, but for her, it would be her home too. Like it would just give it another dimension, give it history, and just make it even more of a powerful piece for the show. So yeah, you're totally right. Wasted opportunity.
Laughing because Tor added that. That was so good.
Our ideas are so good. I just have to say it again, but like the stuff we cook up in here, it's just.
If we got the opportunity to rewrite the show or like write the new Stargate show, I mean, the ratings would go through the roof. Like, not to brag, but fucking hell.
And we're going to deliver to the audience that is there and that likes the show.
We know who's watching.
Sorry. We can go on a little. I'm gonna take us on a little side note here. But I was on Twitter the other day, and you know, I was talking with one of my mutuals, and then we were just talking about like, oh yeah, you know, like, well, what's gonna happen like with a fourth show? Like, do we even want the same people writing that show? You know, we've talked about it before. There was some clear issues behind the scenes, and like, do we have trust in them? They've grown in the past 10, 15 years. And one of my mutuals was like, oh well, maybe they can just get new writers. And I was like, oh. Like, even just hearing that, like, it hurt my heart for some reason, because it's not like I care necessarily about like the guys that were writing it before. I don't. But like, you know, like they did create it and they do know the franchise in and out. And so it makes me really nervous for the fourth show because I think what Amisha said was like, oh, maybe they just won't pick their script. And I was like, it didn't even occur in my mind. I was like, someone else? They'll pick other people who don't know every little detail about Stargate. They'll pick that script. And I got so nervous and I was like, oh no. I was like, yeah, no. So they just need to hire us instead, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know.
I think it has to be like a mix. Like I think it's cool if they are like fans of the show. Then if there would be new writers, like people who know the show and not just like the premise or something, but who have watched the show, who are invested, or the shows plural. But yeah, it's fucking terrifying. Okay, I have one tiny Elizabeth Rodney moment that I really liked. It was just Rodney. It was just Elizabeth asking, "Did you sleep last night?" And Rodney, "No." And I thought it was so cute because obviously he didn't sleep. Like, who needs sleep anyways? But I say at 2:40 in the morning.
Oh god.
No, don't worry. Sorry. I like being awake at night. Anyways, no, I thought it was so cute because I think even though it was just like a polite question, maybe, but I think Elizabeth really, like, she's really worried and she cares for Rodney. That's why she was asking. So that one was really cute.
I love them. I love their like conspiring over the computer too in that scene. And Elizabeth giving him permission to like run the tests while she is a distraction. I loved that. Like duo, underrated duo.
Yes. But do it discreetly. I missed it discreet. Mm-hmm.
He is so not.
And he's so naughty. It was so obvious. Like he was sitting there across with his laptop, typing all the time, looking up at her, typing, looking up at her, typing. Yeah, okay.
Never be a spy.
He's such an idiot. No.
Never.
I was just going through some of the clips I had of them saved the other day after I watched the episode because I was like, oh, that was so cute, so many good scenes. And then I found, I think probably my favorite one of all time. I mean, it's hard, but there's that one at the end of Tao Rodney. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but where Rodney like teases her and he's like, "You said you love me," and she's like, "I said we loved you," and he's like, I think he mentioned something like, "Oh, well, like." Oh, it's so cute. He's like, I've always noticed we had a little something going on or something like that. And she's like, okay. And he's like, I wrote that like in chapter 10 of my book. And I'm like, he wrote about his like relationship with Elizabeth in chapter 10 of his book.
I know.
Oh no.
Don't make me cry.
My heart.
There's people out there that still don't like Rodney.
Say it. Preach. Oh, we should have been saying names. Fuck. Preacher, Australian Sam.
Whoops.
Oh. They should know the difference by now, surely. There's an American Sam and there's an Australian Sam.
Well,
There's
if
a
anyone
Canadian,
ever gets confused between me and Tor, here's how I can tell. Because when I was editing one of the episodes, I noticed it. When I American Sam will be talking, I will just run on sentences for days. I'll just talk for a minute straight without taking a breath. Tor, on the other hand, if you listen to Tor when Tor's talking, she'll say something and she'll kind of pause and she'll say something and then she'll think about it again and then she'll say something. So that's how you can tell the difference between American Sam and Tor. One of us doesn't shut the fuck up. The other one thinks about what they're saying.
That's amazing.
Love it.
My face. It hurts.
Oh my god, we get so sidetracked. It's so amazing. Yeah, I just had a few little moments too. I was gonna say, so there's a little moment where, and I'll mention this kind of in the behind the scenes, but Carson's like double checking on Chaya, you know, and like seeing that like clearing her, right? He goes, no STDs, and it shows Rodney's face. And it's so funny because Rodney's just kind of like, he's like kind of confused, and he like kind of like looks up like, okay, she's in the clear. And I don't know why the hell on Pride Month they said for these bitches jumping puddles in 10 years, 15 years, they're gonna watch this during Pride Month and they're gonna be like, good shit. Because like, what's the explanation? Why did they have to zoom in on him when Carson said no STDs?
He's salty. He's salty as hell.
Rodney's like, no STDs. Damn it. He wanted her to get chlamydia so badly.
Anything to stop the John Shepard train when it was on that track. Anything.
He was praying to every god he knew, and he was like, please, don't let something happen to Chaya.
He was praying to Athar.
He was like, on some off chance to actually exist, police.
He's like, tell her you need to help her commune with the spirits or some shit, so she goes back to her damn planet. Please.
Fucking hell.
He's like, please let some little kid like trip and like sprain their ankle. He's like, not break. He's like, I wouldn't do that, but like let someone sprain their ankle. I just need her help. He is preying on her downfall.
Speaking of Chaya, can we talk about her like church attire? I don't know if they did this on purpose, but like coming from my very interesting background, I feel like they had like the V-neck dress, but they covered it with the material, the fabric, so you know it's modest. And then they did like the shirt that's showing the shoulders, which would be a no-no in any Catholic school. But she obeyed the 3-finger width sleeve length, so it's okay. She's allowed in the temple. It's fine.
Not the 3-finger. That's traumatic. That's honestly so traumatic of you to say that.
All my trauma being revealed live on Jumping Puddles.
No, my trauma too. I'm right there with you. And you know, she did it with the knee thing too, so she had it longer than her knees.
Yep.
It was an interesting mix of cultures on that planet. Like when they arrived, it was weird. And and they said they've lived there for thousands. Okay, and you haven't advanced at all? Like technologically? Yeah, okay.
Maybe Chai just likes the cottage girl aesthetic. She kept them at that level because she was like, I kind of want a cottagecore lesbian to come here. And she's like, on the off chance anyone does, she's like, let's just keep it a vibey.
Fair.
Yeah. Just thinking about cottagecore Elizabeth.
Yep.
Bye.
I want it. I need it.
Oh yeah. Did you ever notice that the Stargate costume department kind of has a thing with dressing women in light blue? Like we had it a few times now. Now with Chaya, we had it with Elizabeth with this amazing top. We also had Sam wearing like a light blue, or was it white and blue dress, and like not in their normal settings, like when they're at work, but in special occasions, I guess. Sam was wearing like a this dress in the episode we don't talk about.
Yeah.
And she, at one time, she was wearing like a light blue leather jacket, and I don't know, it's a theme somehow.
Yeah, even Taylor wore like that blue whitewash shirt. So yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I like to get the blues on there. I guess it's only fair because the science team hoards the blue.
That's really true. There were just a lot of really small moments that I wrote down that I just absolutely loved. I'll just kind of run through. I'll get rid of them quick. But there's one where John introduces himself to Chaya, and Rodney rolls his eyes, and he looks at Ford. He's like, God, like, can you believe this man? And Ford's literally looking at plants. Ford is not. Ford does not give a shit. Ford is just there for the vibes. He's like, what? Like, at the last second, you see him finally make eye contact with Rodney, but Rodney is like, can you believe him? And Ford, he's not there, babes. But also, speaking of Ford, Justice, what the hell was he disappeared after, like, 10 minutes of this episode.
What happened?
They were like, you can go home early, we don't need you for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, that was really mean. Another quick little note. Isn't it a little interesting that Chaya kind of looks like Nancy?
Oh! Interesting.
AKA his ex-wife.
Maybe he has a type.
And I wrote down, I said, John likes brown girls, which is a win for me.
Yes!
Yes.
But no, she really does kind of look Nancy. Like, I feel like if you put them kind of next to each other, you'd be like, well, they're just like kind of like tan, but I feel like also the brown hair, the long hair, I was like, interesting. And then, I mean, I don't want to read too much into it, but it'd be kind of interesting to see, like, hey, maybe this is like his first. This probably was like the first real time he saw like another woman that kind of looks similar to her in years, right? Because after the military, he divorced, lived in Antarctica.
Yeah.
You know, and he came to Pegasus Galaxy, and then he's like, oh my God, you look my ex-wife. You know? Maybe there's something there. Maybe it can explain why he was so freaking giddy, because, like, it's so interesting to see how, I mean, we talked about this already, but, like, he's so happy, and we're just like, girl, what is on? Because he's never that happy ever again. With, like, around women, or, like, yeah. But, Rodney mentioned that, of course, they wouldn't steal this at PM. And I was like, they've clearly learned their lesson from trying to steal from children. Because John's like, well, no, like, we're not going to do anything. And Rodney's like, well, of course we're not going to steal it. I was like, you wanted to steal it about, like, 10 weeks ago, but I think something's changed, apparently. That was really cute. I have John's little, when he walks in the village, it's so funny. I don't know why I love this line. He's so dorky. He walks in and he's like, hi, it's okay, we're friendly. He goes, hi. So uncomfortable. He's so awkward. He's so bad at this. No one,
atrocious.
like, this is not Starfleet. No one, like, they don't go through years of training to, like, learn how to talk to other aliens. And so as a result, we get John going, hi, it's okay, we're friendly. Hi.
It's an embarrassment.
Dork.
He's so bad at this. I love it. Which also, we kind of talked about this already again, but Taylor should have been the one to be leading everything in the beginning. And then once Chaya, or they mentioned Atlantis, then Chaya would be like, oh yeah, I want to go with John. But it would have been so fun to see her as like the main negotiator, because this is her job.
Like when they were sitting at a table, she was a bit leading the negotiation, but it wasn't with Chaya, it was with that priest or whatever he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that, and I was like, yes, this is why we have Taylor on the team, and then they forgot about it again.
Yeah. She should have been the one for sure to lead the entire thing. And then, then back on Atlantis, John can take over. I don't think it would have hurt the story if she was just a little more in charge. Oh, okay. I have this one as well. In the beginning when Rodney's talking and he's like, Ford's like, oh, like, like what's going on? And Rodney just keeps talking. He's like, oh, he's like, no, he's like, I don't. He's like, I'm just nervous. And he just like, kind of says like, oh no, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I'm just talking. And John's like, are you really sure you're okay? And he goes like, well, like I hate flying or just something like that. And then John just goes full snapping on him, and he's like, what is he? He says something, or he's like, "Oh, you're alive," or something like that. It's so funny because Rodney's like, it's so cute. Rodney's like nervous talking, right? And John's like, "Are you okay?" Like he's genuinely like, "Are you really okay?" And Rodney's like, "Yeah." And then John's just like, "Okay, well, bitch, then you're alive. Like, stop talking." Like, it's so endearing that John first is like, "Are you okay?" And Rodney's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Pull yourself together, man. We got work to do." I think it's so cute.
Yeah.
Underrated McShep line. Underrated McShep lines for sure.
I can't believe I didn't pick that up. That's a gold one.
Please, someone gif it. It's so cute.
And also, I feel like there should have been more space battles in the Jumper.
Oh yeah,
that would have been so fun. Because it's a little more tense because you're like a smaller unit compared to something like the Daedalus, which is like a bigger ship and can take more. I just feel like the Jumper is cool for like speedy maneuvers or more like actiony, like one-on-one with like a dart or something. Like more of that would have been cool.
Yeah. High stakes kind of situations. Like that's what I really liked about Grace Under Pressure as well. Like they really kind of explored how dangerous it can be trapped in one of those things. Like, can you imagine, like, even in a space battle, being in one of those things and, I don't know, get a hole in it by getting shot at, and then, shit, we're gonna suffocate and die.
Danger.
Kind of nerve-wracking.
Yay!
Ash, is something you want to talk to us about?
It was meant sarcastically. It's 3 a.m. Get off my back. No, I'm okay. Sarcasm didn't really translate right now.
What else do I got? Oh, also, I just love how everyone just already knows intuitively that John Shepard is a hoe. Like, as soon as they go back to the base and, like... yeah, because there was a line where, like, Rodney was talking to Elizabeth when they got back on the base, and he was explaining, like, oh, yeah, of course, we stumbled upon an alien woman, and of course, John wanted to bring her back to show her Atlantis, and then Elizabeth was like, I'm not surprised, or something along those lines. So she just knew intuitively that it was like he was whipped from the moment he saw her. So that was funny.
Taylor is like, yeah, he volunteered to show her around, and Elizabeth was like, of course he did.
Yeah, that was it.
And then, speaking of like just little moments again, there's so many good little moments in this episode, I feel like, which I did not realize. Like, rewatching it now, you know, we pause it and, you know, we read all these notes and stuff. But at the end, too, when John and, like, when Chaya's found out and John's like, oh, can we have a private alone? Or, like, a moment alone? And literally, Rodney stands up to, like, say, like, yeah. And then both Elizabeth and Taylor go, no. And Rodney just sits his ass back down, and John's like, oh. Like, he's like, can I tell? No. They put the lay of the law down. Co-leaders of the expedition of Atlantis said, no, you're sitting your ass. You're talking in person with everyone around us. It's just a funny little moment.
That was amazing.
Okay, and after that extremely long, many different side conversations, it's just been a while since we've seen each other, so we're so excited. But now, next up, we have the Bechdel test.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, this episode passes again. And I think it's the best one yet, because we have multiple exchanges between Taylor and Chaya and Elizabeth and Chaya.
Love it.
Wow. Everyone, let's celebrate this, because it's only going to get worse from here. I'm kidding.
Not.
No. We get Keller later on and stuff. And,
True.
we have more. But, okay. Now is for the behind the scenes. So there's a few kind of funny little tidbits. First one, Rodney mentions the "pay no attention to the man behind the curtain," which is yet another reference to The Wizard of Oz. Okay, and then we kind of talked about this already as well, but at the end of the episode, we get Chaya and Shepard sharing each other, which is the same thing that Orlin and Sam do in the episode Ascension.
Oh.
Got that. And then apparently, I'm actually really excited to find out if this is true, but apparently the end of the episode is also extremely similar to the ending of Chimera in an episode of Deep Space Nine.
You can leave
our
this out.
resident.
I wanted
Ash
to
is
look
our
it up,
resident
but I
Star Trek
forgot.
person.
I forgot to look it up. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no.
No worries, no worries. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to take Gate Worlds or whatever site I got this from at their word. But yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely, when I get to that episode of DS9, I'll tweet about it and like check back in like 4 months. Okay, this is a little funny goof. But John's like Atlantis patches, like okay, so they're on for most of the episode, and then he goes to talk to Chaya, and for some reason they're gone, but then they reappear when he's back in Atlantis. So it's just weird because like it makes it look like he took off the patches for Chaya.
He's
It's like, why are you hiding? You're from Atlantis.
these patches dorky as shit. I gotta take these off.
He's like, the priest just told me that the high priestess is hot as hell, so let me just...
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and then another kind of funny goof is that Chaya's blood pressure is said to be 130/70, and they're like, ooh, she's so healthy, but that's actually considered to be pre-hypertensive. So very much not a sign of good health. Because adults should have a blood pressure of 115/80. So she was not super healthy. Girl, check that out with your doctor. Get the ancient doctor on speed dial.
Maybe it was considered healthy in 2005.
That's true. That's
like
true.
the stuff changes all. It doesn't really
That's
change,
true.
but it's always a bit of a maybe.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny. And then, so maybe Ash can help us with this one. But apparently the French title for this episode is Out of Reach. But then apparently the German one is just Chaya. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It's on my DVD.
Oh.
Wow. Great job, German translators.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Out of Reach is kind of cool. And then one last thing. So I actually messaged Ash because Ash is the only one of us that actually has the box set of Atlantis. Because I looked it up and both Tori and Rachel were the people who did the commentary track for this episode. However, when I asked Ash checked in her box and for some reason she doesn't have that episode. And so I looked it up and for some reason it's only in like the North American box set you get this damn episode.
You know, you have to get it now, right? So.
I'm so curious.
Oh, I know. Well, I was gonna put out like a PSA for any of our listeners. If you have that episode, that is Sanctuary for the audio commentary, please, like I don't know, write a list of things that they say and then send it to us. Add us on any of our social media. We will check that out because this is the only episode that Tori and Rachel did together. They didn't do any other episode together.
For shame.
Such a shame.
Yeah. And then, just kind of funny little side note, but by season 3, like, barely any of the cast members did them in audio commentaries, too.
Hmm.
Because by season 4, like... by season 4, it's, like, Amanda Tapping is the only one who did a few in season 4. Because besides that, it's, like, Joseph and Paul or whoever directed the episode. And then in season 5, Jason Momoa did his first one.
What? There were Ronin episodes that were so about
random. Yeah.
Ronin in season 3, especially. Like, what?
So that's actually it for the behind the scenes. But definitely, again, let us know if you have that audio commentary. Because if not, yeah, I guess I just gotta buy the fucking DVD set. Woo, fun times. But we hope you enjoyed. Really quick, before I forget, because we forgot last time, let's say our quick little ending comments for this episode. What do you guys think?
I'll just probably say, I'll reiterate what you said earlier, Sam, about how, like, it's a good episode, but it's not one that I'd rush to go back and see again. There's so much potential that they missed out for this particular episode. I definitely agree with that. And I really enjoyed the jealous Rodney, most of all. That was highlight of the episode for me. But yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't rush to see it again, but yeah, some.
Yeah, I'll jump in it right after you. Yeah, I like this episode. I feel like it gets a bad rap. I feel like other people really hate this episode or have strong feeling towards it. I think it's good. Definitely could have been better, like we've all stated. There's so many ways it could have been improved. I prefer the one where what we said earlier, where Elizabeth and Chaya get together at the end. But no, I still really enjoy this episode, honestly, because especially like going back and rewatching it, I realized how many little moments there are in this episode that are just so good.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, oh god, this episode, woohoo! When we had to go and rewatch it, and then watching it, I was like, oh my god, I'm having fun. Like right off the bat with the jumper scene, fighting the dart, like I was like, this is a fun time. And like you two were mentioning, my Sam's, just like the fun character interactions and the little moments were really fun. And also, the only qualm I have is that I just feel like we were robbed of even more Shepard interesting story bits in terms of his ancient lineage. Like, I've read so many fics that expand upon this episode. One in particular by, I think it's Trinity of One, and it's about, Shepard continuing to visit Chaya, actually, on the planet, and, her acknowledging his deeper connection to the ancients, and it's super interesting, and I will hopefully link it into the show notes if I remember what the title of it is. But yeah, for its missed potential, I still love it, and it's still a fun episode.
Yeah, I can just agree with what all of you just said, especially with what Tor said at the beginning. At the beginning, when we were about to rewatch this episode, I was like, this episode. But yeah, I too had fun watching it and enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. But I think that's a good thing about this podcast, because I'm kind of watching this show with different eyes, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I enjoyed all those little moments I mentioned earlier. What annoyed me, like this. Yeah, I don't have to reiterate that. I loved the Elizabeth Rodney moments. I loved Elizabeth in general, and Elizabeth Chaya. I think that dynamic was kind of great, and yeah, I like that I feel like it wasn't really like a team episode, but almost everyone had at least a little bit to do. Like Taylor was in the beginning, then Elizabeth throughout, John, Rodney obviously, and Ford. Yeah, he disappeared. Yeah, rip. But yeah, other than that, I think that was cool. Like everybody was kind of doing their thing in this episode. So yeah,
that was our comments on Sanctuary. Be sure to tune in next time when we talk about Before I Sleep.
Yay!
Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check us out on all of our socials. That is Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and or Twitter. Just to stay updated with what we're doing. Which we should update people what we're doing. And yeah, tune back next time for Before I Sleep. We were your hosts.
All right, you clowns, listen up. I don't often get a chance to say this, so savor it. Good work, boys and girls. Let's go home.